Hello, and welcome back to the third and final video of this mini-series on building a point-of-sale system inside of Scriptcase. So far, we've worked on building the back-end system setup, so that's this maintenance menu of our point-of-sale system right here. We built all these applications, and we've also worked on the sales applications here. Today, we're going to finish up the sales applications, and we're going to go ahead and start working on the cart. So let me show you what we're going to do for the sales applications. Let's click generate here for this new sale. And we built pretty much all of this except the payment part of this. So we're going to build it now so they can click pay. They can pay what is due, and then when they click OK, it will print a receipt like so. So that's all we have left to finish up on the sales side of this. And then we need to get started and finish the cart side of this. So that's this right here. So it's where they can choose a provider, a date, and then start adding line items for this cart. So individual products on here and set the cost uniquely and the quantity uniquely for a unique total. So that's what we're going to do today. And then when we're all wrapped up with that, we're going to put this all together in a nice menu. So it's a complete system, standalone system that you could use as an actual product. So let's get started with this. Our payment application is going to be a control application. So let's click new application like this and choose control application here. Name it payment like so and click create. Okay. And our payment application is going to have 4 different fields on it. So let's go over here and click fields and new fields, and we're going to create 4 fields. And if you remember, we had a logo field. So that's going to be a label, much like the cash register image we saw before with that icon. Then we also had our method. So that's going to be a radio button field. And then we have our total amount due field. So that's going to be a currency field again. And then we had the actual payment amount if they're paying with cash. So that's going to be another currency amount field right here. So now let's name these logo method. That's the payment method. The total, as well as the payment field like so. So let's go ahead and create these fields. We'll mess with the labels later. So now that is done. Now let's set up our logo field. So that's going to be much like the cash register icon we saw before on the new sale. So I'm going to copy this in. This is the font awesome icon for this. It's going to show the money, and we're going to set the color, some styling, and so forth. Let's save on that. For the method, let's select our options that we have. So instead of an automatic, we're going to do a manual this time. So we're going to have cash, which is going to be 1. Insert that. Check, which is going to be 2. And card, which is going to be 3. So those are our 3 different payment methods. Let's hit save on that. And then our total, that's going to be a label field. That can't be edited. That's going to be calculated. And then our payment, which is already set up like so. Now we also don't want to display any labels next to these. So like we have done on the other applications, let's go to Layout Blocks and uncheck this option to display the labels. So let's run this and see what the UI is looking like here. Okay, so that's looking pretty close to what we want. So now let's go ahead and do some more UI changes. So let's put these 2 fields, the total field and the payment field, into a separate block that can display the labels. And let's make this 3 columns so they display across the screen, which will be a little bit nicer. So first, let's edit the method field here. So we can go back here to fields, method, and there's just one setting here, the column setting. Change that to 3. So that'll make those go across the screen horizontally. So now let's create a new block in blocks. Just going to call this payment 2 and click create. We don't need to display the title of the block, but we do want the labels to display for the fields. And then we want it to display below the other block. So let's hit save on that. And then let's put the fields that we want in this block. So that's going to be the total and the payment. Let's change the labels on these. So that can be total, and then this will be payment amount. So let's run this and see if this UI is looking like it should. Okay, so that's looking pretty much like we would expect. We can choose these and then enter an amount. But this total field is not yet populating. That needs to be calculated using some code that we're going to put in the onEvent call here. So let's go back and go to events and then onload. Let me copy some code right here and paste this in like so. So it's going to do a select, and it's going to sum the unit price times the quantity as total for all of the records in detail sale for this sale ID, like so. And again, this variable is going to be passed in with the session variable. It'll execute that, and as long as it got a result, the total is going to equal that field that we pulled out of the query. So now let's run this, and we should see a total field like that. So let's enter in our sale, and there we have our total. So now we need to process the code for when we actually click OK on this, and it needs to validate whether it's enough money, what type of field it is, and all that. So now let's go to the onValidate event right here. So this is going to get called after we click OK. And let me copy in a little bit more code right here. So this is going to check whether or not the amount is enough. So it's going to look at the payment and make sure that it's not less than the total. And then if it isn't, so that means the payment was enough, otherwise it'll output an error here. It will select from the detail sales here, get that record, and it'll loop through every single one and update it so that the quantity for that product is -1. So that's just decrementing the quantity on hand for the products from that product table so that we don't sell more products than we actually have. That way we have an accurate record of how many products we have on hand. And then it's going to calculate the change for that. So if they pay with cash, it's going to look at the payment and subtract it from the total. And then if there's any money left over, it'll say that the payment was successful and then tell us, the clerk, how much change is due. So let's hit save on that and run this and see if it works. So I'm going to run it here. So let's input our sale ID. Let's choose cash. Total is 600. Let's put 700 in as the payment amount, and let's click OK. Okay, and it said the payment was successful and the change due is $100, which is accurate. So let's go back here now. And let's change one more thing. If you notice, on the cash, we have the payment amount here. However, that's not really valid for a check or a card, since we'll pay in the exact amount of money that we want to pay here. So we need this field to disappear when the type is not cash. So to do that, we need to go to the onClick for this type field here. So let's go back here. We're going to create an ajax field like we've seen before. We're going to choose the method, and we're going to do the onClick here, and we're going to pass through that method there, and we're going to pass through the payment as well. So let me copy just a little bit of code here. And here it is. So it's going to look at the method field, and if it equals 1, which is cash, that's the value we saved for cash, then it's going to turn that payment field on and set the focus to payment like that. So it automatically put our cursor in the payment field. Otherwise, if it's a different value here, then it's going to turn the payment field off. And then it's also going to set payment equal to the total amount. So this field will be set equal to this. And that will just help our logic work no matter what. So that should work. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. Let's input our sale ID. choose cash, and it automatically populated it. And then if we choose check, it will go away like so, or card like that. Okay, so that should work and everything should be set up for that. Now we just need to do one more thing in the onValidate success. So this is after it's successfully validated and made the payment. We need to redirect to our printer application here. So this is our application that's going to create a receipt using a PDF. So we're going to name it this blank printer. We're not going to pass through any variables. And then we're going to open it in a new blank tab like this right here. So that'll open a new tab, so it won't overwrite anything on our current screen. Let's hit save on that. And we can generate it here, but now we need to create this blank printer application, which is going to be pretty simple. It's just some code, but I'm going to copy that in, and you can copy it as well. Let's click New Application. And we're going to choose blank here. We're going to call it blank printer, like so. Click Create on that. And then we just have this big block of code here, and I'm going to copy some code in here. So here's our code. It's using the TC-PDF library here, which is included with Scriptcase. And I'm going to go over this somewhat quickly because this is going to be covered in other videos. But basically, it's setting up a new PDF. It's setting some fonts and some different settings, the dimensions of the PDF. It's putting our name in here, our company name here, and it's setting our header here. Then it's getting all the data for that sale ID, all the line items for that sale, out of the sale detail table. Then it's going to loop through all those records and put them on screen, all formatted correctly, so the product, the price, and the quantity, as well as the total. And then on the bottom, it'll put the grand total with the number formatted correctly, as well as a message here saying thank you for your purchase. And then that should work, so let's go ahead and generate this code. And then we're going to run it from our payment application right here. So we're going to run this, and it should automatically redirect once we click pay to our new receipt. So we're going to choose a check here and click OK. And here is our receipt. So this is everything that was here, everything on this sale, with our total, prices, all that, as well as a thank you for your purchase message like that. If we go back here, it said the payment was successful with no change. So that's how we set up the payment application. Now we need to link our payment application to our detail sales grid. So that's our grid showing all the sale line items. So let me open that back up, and let's put a new button on this right down at the bottom. So we're going to go to Buttons, New Button, and this is going to be a link button, and we're going to call it Pay. Okay, and we're going to use a font awesome icon here. So this is going to be the cash icon. So let me filter these. These are lots of very useful icons. We want the cash icon here to pay, so that's what it'll look like. And then we can leave everything else to the default, and now we just need to link it here. So we're going to save the changes and go link it to our payment application here. So let's find our payment application here, link it up. So the ID sales, we're going to leave that because that'll get from the session. And let's click confirm right here. And then we can hit save. And everything should work with that, so let's go ahead and run it. Enter our sale ID like so. And here is our pay button right here. So let's change this UI. Let's take all these buttons off, and let's put the pay down here at the bottom. So let's go back here to toolbar in our detail sales grid. We're going to take everything off here, then everything off here, and then right down on the bottom right, we're going to put our payment option right here. And put that right there. So you could put that wherever you wanted, or you could leave those buttons on if you want. But for our use cases, we don't really need all those options. So let's run this again now that the UI looks a little bit nicer. There we go. So there's our payment button, and it links right through to our payment option. We can do check, click OK on that, and there we have it. Okay, so now we have everything wrapped up with our sales side of the application. So now we just need to finish out the cart side of this. So if you remember, we have a cart master table and then a cart detail table. The detail table has all the line items for this. So we need to create two applications, one for the master table and then one for the detail. Once the master table record is created, then we can create line items for the detail table. So first, let's create a new folder in here. So we have our sales folder and our system folder. Let's create a cart folder. Okay, so now we have a place to put these applications all nice and organized. Let's click New Application and first start building our master form. Okay, so we're going to click Form. And we need to choose our table, so that's going to be our cart table here. We can leave the name as form cart, and let's click create on this. So now let's get our field set, so we're going to go to edit fields here. And we don't need the ID to show, that can be transparent to the user. And we need to put the provider first, then the date, then the total, and then the state. Okay, and then we're going to make these fields be selects that can be selected from. So we're going to change these, take the ID off of these field labels. Let's hit save on that. And then let's edit the provider first. And this is just like we've done in the other applications. We're going to do a lookup, automatic lookup, which is a MySQL query. We're going to click create select here. Select our provider table here. The key field is going to be the ID, that's what's saved to the database, and then the name is going to be shown on screen. That's all we need to do for that, so let's hit save on that. And then let's do the same for the state ID field. So the exact same process, except this time it's from the state table. ID is stored in the database and state is shown on screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. We've got some more changes to the UI to make, but let's see where it stands now. Okay, so we've got our drop down for providers and for the state. Now let's put this all in one row. If you remember from the demo, we had all of these in one row, and then down here we had the detail area down here. So let's get these all in one row so they kind of function as a header for the detail. So to do that, we need to go to Layout, Blocks, and we have 4 fields, so we need to have 4 columns, and it will automatically split those 4 fields up into those 4 columns. So let's run this one more time. Okay, so now we have those 4 fields all across the screen in one row, so that makes it nice and easy for us to read. Now there's one other issue with this, and that is it's allowing us to edit a cart. So this is the update of cart, not the add new mode. We don't really want to update it for our uses. You could leave it so it could. But for our uses, we want to, every time they click on the menu, it's going to put it in add new mode. So to do that, we need to add just a little bit of code in the on application init event right here. So we're going to go to events on application init. And let me copy just one line of code in here. So what we're doing here is we're telling it to edit the settings for this application. So this is the application we're editing. We're editing the start settings, and we're telling it to start in new mode. So this time when we run it, it should start in a new mode, an add new record mode. So let's run it. And there we go. So now we're in an add new mode, not in an update mode. So that's how we want it. So let's get started then on the detail form. So once we create the detail form, we can add it in here as a master detail. So let's go back, create a new application here. And this is going to be another form. Select the cart detail, the detail cart. We can leave the name and click create. Okay. So now let's edit our fields and select the fields we want. So let's get rid of ID, and then let's edit the order. So first we have the product, then we have the unit cost, then the quantity, and then we're going to add a total field, which we'll edit later. So we take the card ID off, that can be transparent as well. Let's hit save on that. And we also need to change the form orientation. So this is going to be an editable grid form. So let's go back here. And we're going to choose editable grid view. So this will allow us to view multiple records at the same time and edit multiple records at the same time as well. So let's hit save on that. Let's see what this looks like. So we're going to run it. Okay, so we've got those different fields. We're changing some more things about this, but that's how it pretty much looks. So let's go back here, and the first thing we need to do is edit the product field. So let's edit the label. We're going to make it a select, just like we've done with all the others. So let's edit that field now. Create a select. Choose the product table. ID is stored to the database, and name is shown on screen. There we go. So that should be all we need to do for that, and that is all set up. Now we also need another field over here on the right called the total field. And that's going to calculate the quantity times the cost of the item and give us a total amount for that line item. So let's go back here. We're going to create a new field right here. Just one new field. And we don't need a new block for this field. It's going to be a currency field. We're going to call it total and label it the same and click create on that. So that total is going to equal the unit cost times the quantity, but we need to add the code to actually modify that total amount when either of these items change. So to do that, we're going to create a function because we're going to need to do that in multiple places. First, when the record loads, second, when the unit cost changes, and thirdly, when the quantity changes. So the easiest way to do that is to put that code one time in a function and then call that function multiple times. So we need to go to Programming here on the blue tab, PHP Methods, New Method, like so. We're going to call this mTotal, like so, and click Create. And this is just going to be one line of code. It's going to be very simple. Using the curly braces to access the fields on screen, these are the field variables, we're going to set the total field equal to the unit cost multiplied by the quantity, like so. So that's very simple, and we can call that then anytime we need it. So let's hit save on that. And now let's call this function every single time we need it to. So the first is on the events, and that's when it loads the record. So that way it'll populate the total field every time the record loads on the initial load. So let's go to onload record, and we're just going to call that function like that. That's very easy. Let's hit save on that. Now this one's just a little bit more complicated, but still pretty simple. We need to go to ajax events. And this is going to be an event that is triggered by something the user does on screen. This one is going to be triggered when the unit cost changes. So let's click New Ajax Event. We're going to need to select the field we want it to function on. So that's going to be the unit cost. And then on the onChange event, like so. Let's click Create on that. And then we just need to call that function just like we did before. So we hit save on that. That's all set up. Now we need to make it so it does the same thing on the quantity when the quantity changes. So let's go back here, New Ajax Event. Select the quantity field and the same onChange event. Create the event. And then call the function one more time. So that should be set up to work now with the total field. So let's go ahead and run this and see how it works. Okay, so here it is, and it looks like the onRecord event is working so that it calculates the total. Let's try changing one of these and see if that works. So we click the Edit button, and let's change this to 15, and let's click out of it, and there it automatically changed it. And then let's increase the quantity, and there it calculated the total again. So that works pretty well, pretty easy. So that's pretty much everything we need to do for this. This is all set up. Now we need to just link it to the master cart form. So let's go back to Scriptcase here. Let's go to our master cart form. Let's go to the master detail area. So that's going to allow us to edit a detail form from the master form. Click New Detail. And we want to create a new block for this. This is going to be the detail cart. Create the label as cart detail, like so, and click Create. Now we need to choose our detail cart form. So I click on that and click Next. So now we just need to match up these fields that are in our master form to the appropriate fields in the detail form. So we really just need to worry about this ID. This is going to match up with the cart ID field in the detail form. So that's how those two tables are tied together. Let's click Next on this. That's all we need to do. There's no parameters since we don't need them. Then we click Confirm, and that should be all set up. So now let's run this and see how it looks. Okay, so here we go. We've got our master form here, and then down here we have our detail form. So this isn't showing yet because we don't have a master form created, so it's not seeing any detail form associated with it. So let's go ahead and create this. So we're going to go here and click Add. So we're creating a new record. And now we're going to add our line items to this. So we're going to add a new one. Select the product, select the cost, and then the quantity as well. That'll update our total. Save that. And now we have a cart record fully built out with its line items. So that's pretty much everything we need to do with that. Let's edit a few more UI things. First, we need to make this field so it's read only. So let's go back to our master form, go to Edit Fields, and make this total field read only. Let's hit Save. So now let's take this title off of the detail. We don't need that. So we're going to go back to our detail cart, and let's take that label off. We don't need that. Let's hit Save on that one more time. Let's run this. We got a couple more UI changes to make. But there we go. That looks a little bit better. We add that record. And there we go. Now let's make it so this takes up the whole screen. And then we also don't need to display this footer area here. So let's go back to our detail form. We need to go to Settings. Tell the width to be 100%, like so. Let's hit Save on that, so that'll take up the whole area. Then we need to go to Toolbar right here and take those options off of the bottom toolbar. And then we can also take everything off except the Add New button. So I just took everything off, and then I'm going to add the insert back on in the center of the toolbar like that. So let's generate that. And let's run the master cart application one more time. And we should be all set up now. Okay, so here it is, all ran. So let's click Add to create a new cart record. And here we go. Now it's taking up more of the screen and looks a little bit nicer. Click Add New. And we can add a new item to it, like so, and add that line item. So that's the cart side of this. So now we have all the pieces of the puzzle in place. We just need to put them all together in a menu application to make this a standalone system. So let's go back to Scriptcase. Let's go to our root folder and let's create a menu application. So we're going to click New Application and we're going to choose Menu right here. We can call it Menu. Let's click Create. And we need to add some menu items. So the first menu item is going to be the system menu. So that's going to be this plus button right here. And that was called maintenance in our demo. So make sure it's spelled correctly. And that's just going to be a header menu item so that we can mouse over it and show all the different sub-items to it. So now we need to add some sub-items. So underneath this, we need to add another one, and I'm going to insert it in one to the right, and so that'll add it as a sub-item. And the first one is going to be provider. So, and we're going to link that to our provider grid, like so. And then we're going to add another one right below that, and that will be products, like so, and we'll link that to our products grid. So right there. And then another one, this will be our states. Link that again to our states editable grid form. So that's right here. And then one last one under maintenance here. This is going to be our categories. Like so, and we'll link it to our categories editable form grid. So we'll go here and select form category right here. Import. There we go. And so now our maintenance menu is set up. Let's add another main menu item. So I'll click the plus sign again. Let's bump it one out to the left here because that's another main menu. This is going to be our cart. We're not going to have any sub items underneath this. This will go directly to our master cart form. So we choose our form cart right here. And then one more, our sales. This will be linked to our new sales application, which generates a new sale. And that will redirect to the dashboard we created in the last version. Okay, so that's set up. Now we just need to add an exit button. So let me put that on the end. And we leave the link for that blank so it knows to exit. So over here, we can change the theme. So as you can see, as we're changing this, it's changing how it looks down here. So we've got a few of these, but let's do this one right here. I kind of like this one. So let's run this and see how it looks. There we go. So that looks pretty nice, and it matches our application themes well. So now let's add some icons next to these. You might have remembered those from the demo. So those are the font awesome icons. So if we go back to the menu, we look at maintenance, we've got an icon position. We can tell it where to put it, and then tell what icon we want to use. But we first need to tell it to use the font awesome icons. So text and icon font awesome under display. And then we choose our icon that we want. So here we've got this cog icon, and it's showing it right there. So that's actually what we want. So that's nice and set up. Let's go to cart and do the same thing. Choose the font awesome icons. This time, we don't want a gear, we want a cart. So we can search for that right here. And there's a cart that looks pretty nice right there. So we'll choose that one. And then for sales, we want the money icon. So let's click that. And we can search for money like so. And we've got a nice one right here. So if that looks good, and then exit, we can have a little exit arrow type thing. So let's search for this. There we go. Okay, so now we should have icons. Let's run that. There we go. And we've got some nice icons, which look nice and function well. So now let's do one more thing. So this area down here is just blank. And if you remember from the demo, I had an image there. So that's pretty easy to set up. We need a new application, a blank application. So we're going to click New Application. We're going to choose Blank and name it Blank Image, like so. Click Create on that. And I'm going to copy some code in this blank application. So this is just setting up some styling to style this image to make sure that it's responsive to different screen sizes. And then down here, we're pointing it to an image that we stored in our image library. So you can upload an image using Layout Images Manager right here. I've already uploaded it, and this is what I know the name is. So I can just access that. So if we run this, it should display the image. And there is our image. So now let's put this inside of the menu. So we need to go to Menu, and we need to edit the default application. So we go to Settings, scroll down here to the bottom to this default application setting. So right now, it's just blank. Let's choose one application, and let's link it to our blank application for our image. So there it is. Import that, and now it should work. So let's run this. And there we go. There is our menu with the image loaded. So that looks nice. We've got all of our menu options, and everything is working like it should. So now let's do one more thing to make this look a little bit nicer. So we're using an older theme. This is the Rhino theme inside of Scriptcase. But Scriptcase provides us a few new themes with 9.4, and let's use one of those. So that's going to give us some more buttons, lines, different UI elements that are going to make it look just a little bit nicer. So let's go back to our Scriptcase development environment, and we're going to change the theme for all these applications. The first thing we need to do is go to the project properties and add the new theme to this project. So let's go up here to the blue menu, project, and then properties, and then themes. And any of these green ones are the new 9.4 themes. So we've got several of those there. Let's go ahead and add Sweet Blue. So we're going to use this one here. So Rhino is the default. We're going to take that off, so let's get rid of that. And then we're going to make Sweet Blue the default theme. So anytime we create a new application in this, it will add it as the theme by default. Let's hit save on that. Okay, so now we've added that theme to our project. Now we need to edit all the applications and modify the theme to change it to that new Sweet Blue theme. But we don't have to go through each application individually. We can do Express Edit. So let's go to Tools and then Express Edit. This will allow us to edit multiple applications at once. We could select a subset of applications, or we could do all of them. We want to do all of them. And then we need to select the property that we want to edit. We want to edit the theme. Click Next on that. And then we just need to select the theme we want, which is the Sweet Blue theme here, and click Apply. Now all the settings are changed, so we can either click Finish, or we could generate the source code so that we see the resulting changes in all the applications. Let's go ahead and generate the source code now. So this will take a little bit because we have a lot of applications to generate here. So we'll give it just a second here. Okay, so we've skipped ahead now and everything is generated. That took just a second. So I went ahead and skipped ahead so you wouldn't have to wait around for that. But now let's load the menu again and let's see where we are. Okay, so now let's run one of these applications and see how it looks now that we've changed the theme. So you might notice a pretty big change in the theme here. So we've got some different colors. Also, the buttons look different. We've got little icons next to them, which makes them look really nice. And we've got some more lines. We've got a little bit more space around some things. Let's click a form now. So now we've got some nice lines around these blocks that kind of make them stand out. That's really nice. So that's some of the features of the new themes in Scriptcase 9.4. So I hope you have 9.4 and are able to utilize those themes. There's several of them there. We couldn't take the time to demo them all, but I hope you take some time and check them out because I think you'll like them a lot. So that's everything for setting up a point of sale system inside of Scriptcase. And I hope this was helpful for you, these 3 videos. Thank you for staying with us and watching all of them. I'm glad that you joined us, and I was happy to show you everything that we can do with Scriptcase. I'll see you in the next videos.